So I'm going to do a very specific video this time on the metals, the miners, and the dollar. Everything related to precious metals, let's say. Looking into next week. Now, next week we have quite a lot of data coming out. I'm not going to list them all, but obviously Wednesday we have the FOMC meeting. That should be the most important one for our sector, for most sectors, but you never know. Sometimes, some PMI number can actually move the markets more. Anyway, let's look at it first by looking at the dollar. Now, there's also earnings, by the way, next week, quite a lot of earnings, but that shouldn't move the dollar, let's say, as much. But you never know; it could move the markets, and the markets can move the miners, for example. So it's also worth paying attention to some of the earnings potential. Now, looking at the dollar, we closed pretty much at 101, just a little bit above. So, for me, I've been saying 101. Or 100.8 are the levels to watch on the downside, and obviously on the upside, support becomes resistance. Now, if the dollar doesn't feel like plunging straight away, and it makes sense that it doesn't reverse immediately since FOMC is on Wednesday, you might as well wait until the release. So you may have some sideways action. Monday and Tuesday, nothing too special. Maybe a candle going higher, maybe a candle going lower, but nothing. Not moving too far from where we currently are now. Still, on the upside, I see, prior, let's say we go up the next level, if it starts to move higher, 102, nice round number, also prior support, pretty obvious stuff. If we go through here, I see the descending. I'm not sure if we're going to go higher than that. If we do, then we definitely have this descending line that acted as resistance for months. So, if I had to list all three, and I might as well, I would just say here, and then I would say here, and then if I had to do one again, I would say, well, you know what I mean, up here. I don't see us going that far. In fact, I think we'll go down, even though I think we'll have a 25 basis point hike. I just feel like it's priced in. I feel like it's been priced in for some time, including when the dollar was going down. So, and I think the market is looking forward. It knows that, okay, if you hike now, maybe that's already near the end, but there might be one or two extra ones in there. But otherwise, for me, I personally think 6% is the top. It is a number I've plucked out of thin air, but I think I heard Powell actually mention it. I also think that's pretty much where the economy just is unable to deal with more. So, in fact, even where it is now, it's unable to. It's just how long it can handle it for now. That really is the question. On the way down, though, if we have, and you never know it doesn't even matter what Powell says, it's what how the market reacts. So on the downside, obviously, since we are currently at this level, and if we drift higher, then okay, the first level of support will be 101/100.8 where we currently are. So I might as well list the levels, all 5 levels that are really relevant. Now, on the way down, I don't think there's much point in going through all the levels because if we start plunging below this 99.5-ish support, the low of last week, let's say, or this week technically, since it's on Sunday, if we start to plunge below this, it doesn't matter, we're just going lower, I had this level, these tram area, this is kind of where I expected some support. After we flush this area, we found support in the middle. I don't think 99.3 is a level of support. I think we go pretty much straight to 97 point, whatever this is, 7-ish. So just below 98. And that's all I'm going to leave in there for levels of support. I didn't actually intend to put these little bullseye targets in there, but just to help clarify. So let's see what the market does. I don't think we'll have too much of a dramatic move until the decision on Wednesday. But again, we do have other data. We have earnings that could move the markets. Maybe not earnings so much the dollar, but those are the levels I see on the way up and on the way down. I do think the bias is to the downside, and I think what's coming, the 25 basis point hike, was already enough to move the dollar down. So if we do get 25, I think we should actually continue down. That should be what this suggests. And if we don't get 25, then definitely should go down. So bias to the downside. Now let's look at gold and silver. I'm not going to look at interest rates, actually. I think I'm going to keep that for another video. I don't think interest rates will count as much because we've seen gold and silver move up regardless of interest rates. And to be honest, interest rates have basically been having a staircase upward move for a long time, and gold has been able to rise up and down regardless. So I'm just not going to cover interest rates in this video. Straight to gold. So gold, not the best close. I was hoping for something a bit better. I was hoping actually for a green close. Since it was hovering, I mean, just for a lot of Friday, it was just down sort of $5-6, and I thought it could have a little swing end of day, and that would be really bullish. But okay, it didn't happen, you know. But we weren't down by much. 0.5% is almost meaningless. So this is where we are. Now, again, everything depends on Wednesday. We could move before then. There is some decent data coming out. But regardless of news, including earnings, I think on the way up, we have, okay, the first level of resistance is 1970. That should be very easy because we've been trading above there for you know, at least half of the week, and I don't consider it major resistance. In fact, so much so that I feel like we're moving it. I think 1980 is the resistance-ish, right? 1983, 87, whatever you want to call it. Let's say 85, give or take $2. So if we move up, I think we will find resistance at 1985. Now, we probably won't be able to breach 1985 until the FOMC. I'd find it hard to justify gold moving up before such a massive news event. So I think 1985 is resistance. Now on the way up after that, 2000 should not be resistance at all. Once you're above 1988, this high over here, I mean, 2000 is just $10 away. You're probably breaching it for a reason. So I think 2000 will not act as any resistance whatsoever, even intraday. I think 2020 will. And then after that, okay, 2040, 2050, this range here should also act as resistance. So I don't know why I've decided all of a sudden to use these, but let's just do that. You know, this here, and this here, sort of this range like this. I'll keep that for my next video, see how accurate it does become, but I think that's pretty justified, makes sense for me anyway. If it starts going higher than that, then forget it. It's you know, it's just non-stop to new record highs. So on the way down, I have to price this in, even though I don't think it will happen. I have to consider all angles. So I don't see gold drifting lower too much before Wednesday's FOMC, you know, result, let's say. But on the way down, I think really this breakout zone. So let's say, what would that be? 1940-ish, let's say, just to be sure, which should also act with ascending. So I think that's really one major area, sort of ascending plus the support zone. So 1940, and after that, really, you're probably looking at 1900 actually, just one zone. I don't think there's any other support after that. That must be some massive hike, maybe 50 base. I don't know what would justify that, the dollar really spiking. Probably another event, probably multiple data releases that were not priced in. Just some shocking results, you know, inflation being much higher, or which should normally help gold, but as it is currently, everything's counterintuitive. If inflation is high, they expect higher interest hikes, so therefore the dollar goes up, so gold goes down. It doesn't make sense, but that's the way the market's moving, so just respect that. But I don't see this really happening, but if it does, then 1900, and if it keeps going lower, you know, that will take several days, probably 2 or 3 candles at least. Then you're looking down here, but you know, these horizontal lines are there just in case that happens. But 1900 is as low I'm going to go for next week. So I think that's it. That's all I need to really clarify for the technical levels of gold and silver. Well, actually, silver, the equivalent really, if we do start to go lower, so silver's totally outperformed. It did have a weak close, but I still think that on the way down, $24. Let me put this here. Okay, another one down here. And if we really flush this 1900 gold equivalent, I mean, that would be a very dramatic move. But then, to be honest, look how far away we are from the massive ascending support. This should be a much bigger target, but you know what I mean. So that's on the way down, those sort of 3 zones. I personally think this is as low as we're going to get, 24. Silver's very, very strong. And on the way up, there really is just one, and that's 26. I mean, it's not going to take out 25.25, 25.3. and just stop at 25.5, it's going to go all the way to 26. So, and after this, there's no point because it's just new highs. You know, haven't been there for months and months. So then it's 27, 28, and 30. So there you go, exciting stuff. Next week should really be, especially if we start to move on the way up, that should be alarmingly nice stuff. For the miners, if I had to choose, it's following gold more than silver. Let's do the way up because it's more likely in my opinion. So on the way up, we got between 32.5 and 33. So I'll just make this cover both areas. This is on the GDX, and after that, really a bit like silver, just sort of this 25.5/26 silver zone. I think it'll be 35.5, 36 on the GDXJ. I don't think there's any point in putting intra, like yes, I would say normally 34, just above 34 here would be a zone, but I mean, it's a pretty dramatic week, so why not go higher? And on the way down, to be honest, just this breakout zone, although that's pretty close. And then the test of the descending, which should pretty much coincide by then with the low down here. That's it. If we start to breach lower, we've got problems, but I've got those horizontals taking care of that in case that happens. That's all I'll have, those 4 levels. GDXJ, if I had to do it, you know what, I won't do it. No, I will go on, it will only take 1 minute. So obviously this level here, although we did have this high, to be honest, we should actually move. That's okay. So this target takes care of this level plus a little extra. On the way up here, we can't ignore that there are actually 2 levels on the way up here this time, and on the way down, this horizontal, and finally 1 more. That's it. That's all I see. That's all I'll be watching. Obviously, I'm looking at specific stocks. I'm going to try and do a quick video on my portfolio and on the markets in general, but I hope that takes care of what I'm looking at next week. And again, I care more about price action than what the news release is and what was previous estimates. And, you know, who cares? Like, you've got these money markets, you have these high frequency trading. Everyone's just trading tick by tick, millisecond by millisecond, and the price action is telling you what the market thinks. So don't analyze the numbers too much. Just watch what the market is telling you immediately upon release. Anyway, good luck. It should be very exciting.